Can I thank, obviously, Ben as President of Farm Riders and all of the Farm Riders board and team, and also acknowledge the life members that are here today as well. Can I acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, the Honourable Robert Brown, from the Shooters and Fishers Party. That's the gig that we do. I leave that off, you yell it out, everyone's happy, right? Can I also acknowledge Scott Hanson, the Director General of DPI, and all of the rest of the DPI staff that I see here around the room, including Deputy Director General of DPI, Brett Fifield, and also Kate Lorimer Ward, who's taking a key role in the ag space at the moment at DPI. Can I also acknowledge Tony Williams, Director of SafeWork New South Wales, and thank SafeWork for the great partnership that they've had with New South Wales farmers, but also getting involved in today's event, and I know we'll hear a little bit more about that a little bit later on. Derek Scowen and all the team at New South Wales Farmers, again, welcome and thank you for your support throughout the year. To our Farmer of the Year from last year, Nick Arena, it's great to see Nick here again today. He's been a fantastic advocate for the program. He tells me that the suit he's wearing today is the one that he wore last year. Now, that means Nick has obviously been working hard to make sure he fit into that suit, because just about every luncheon I've been to this year, Nick has been there. So, which means he's been willing to continue advocating on behalf of all of the farmers that have participated in the program, and has done a wonderful job as the Farmer of the Year from last year, and certainly something that the finalists this year can aspire to. So can we all just acknowledge Nick and the wonderful role he's done. Can I also thank the judging panel for this year and acknowledge them, and also Vernon Graham and the rest of the team from the land that are here as well today. But more importantly, can I welcome and congratulate our 2017 finalists. If you don't know about their story, have a look on the little cards that you have on each of the tables. We'll get to those formal parts of the proceedings a bit later on, but when you read through what each and every one of them have contributed on their farm, with their families, it certainly means that we've got a bright future for primary industries going forward, and we'll hear a little bit more about all of them later on. So congratulations to you all for being here. We'll just, I wanted to quickly touch on a few things that we've seen throughout 2017, because I think we've had a very strong year, particularly in primary industries, and there are a number of things that I think are worth acknowledging as we stand here getting towards the end of the year that have been a success, but there's also been many challenges throughout the year. We know that we've had fires and storms. We had a very dry and cold winter, and just when people were starting to get into harvest some of those crops that got through that challenging winter, then we've seen a lot of rain in parts of New South Wales at the wrong time. But we've also seen a lot of success in the sector, and we've also seen some fantastic figures and numbers coming out of the sector in 2017. Many of you will have been at the last Farm Riders luncheon, where we released the Department of Primary Industries Red Book, where we had used our economics team to gather a lot of the numbers around what the different sectors in New South Wales are contributing to our economy, and also seeing the growth that we've seen in those sectors. If you haven't had an opportunity, there is an update to those figures, and to continue to have a look at how we're analysing the numbers here in New South Wales. Those books are at the door, and please make yourself available of those as you're leaving here this afternoon. Because the measurement that we do in those areas helps us track how well we're going, but also helps us identify other areas that we need to work harder on, or other opportunities to capitalise on. And that's what's been great about 2017. And when we look at some of the things that we've done here in New South Wales in primary industries over the last 12 months, we're seeing a little bit of a back to the future type moment. And Scott Hanson, my Director General, throughout earlier in the year, highlighted a bit of a history as to how we ended up with the Department of Agriculture here in New South Wales. And that story is applicable because of some of the things that we've done this year, not just myself and my team as Minister, but also as the department. And please, I'm not quoting this verbatim, I'm going off my recollection of the history, so if there are some history buffs out there, please, if I make some mistakes, forgive me. But in the 1880s, we had crops failing around New South Wales, particularly in the Peel Valley. And farmers of the area were concerned that the varieties that they had bought out from overseas weren't applicable to conditions here in Australia, in particular here in New South Wales. And there was a real threat that the colony wasn't going to be able to produce the food that it needed to continue to survive. So farmers wrote a letter to the government of the day, and Henry Parkes and Sydney Smith sat down in this building, not far from where we're standing now, in front of a fireplace one night, and wrote a cabinet minute in response to the concerns that these farmers had. And in that cabinet minute, it spoke about what was needed to do the research, investigate new varieties, do the trials, to be able to produce the food that was required for the colony at the time. Interestingly, in part of that cabinet minute, it also included the establishment of an agricultural education institution, which went on to become the establishment of Hawkesbury Agricultural College in the opening in 1891. And obviously, as a former student of Hawkesbury Agricultural College, that part sits very nicely with me. And in my office, I have a portrait of Sydney Smith. Sydney Smith was the minister of the day. He ploughed the first fields at Hawkesbury Ag College, but he was the minister of the day that responded to the needs of farmers, and they set up the Department of Agriculture. That department and the staff within it then went on to do trials and look at new varieties and solve a lot of the problems of the farmers, and then provide them with the solutions to get on and start producing. And to me, that's a great example of the role of the minister to put legislation through or to get the resources, and the role of the department to take the patience and the expertise to do the investigations, to solve the problems and then provide the answers to the producers to get on and do what they do best. And it's been pretty much that way since the 1890s, the early 1900s. Not too many new crops or new industries have established here in New South Wales. They've all been different varieties, or there's been different areas, but we haven't seen something grow from scratch until this year. And this is what's been exciting for me as Minister this year, when we look around now and we see that we've actually done something similar to what we saw in the 1890s, not because we're worried about the colony failing, but we want to look at how we can grow and expand and provide our producers in New South Wales with more opportunities. And to me, that has been best illustrated this year in the role that we've played from a government point of view to have now had our successful harvest of alkaloid poppies here in New South Wales. This was something that we thought we could do here in New South Wales. This was something that we didn't have the ability to do because of the way that the federal legislation was drafted, and originally it was only Tasmania that were allowed in this space. But this is something that we thought there was great potential for another option for our growers here in New South Wales. So we spoke to industry to see whether there would be an appetite for this. We spoke with our other counterparts in other parts of government and other states. And when we knew that there was a market, then we knew that we could get on and change a few things from what we can change to allow then our farmers to get on and try and capitalise on this opportunity. So what we saw in 2017 was a bill go through the Parliament to allow seeds to be put into the ground, to be nurtured by our fantastic producers that had applied for and got a licence and gone through the regulatory regime to get the first crop harvested commercially here in New South Wales in 2017. And that's a pretty rare occurrence. There's not too many other ministers would have the opportunity to say that they saw something written down on paper, spoke to their colleagues and the crossbenchers like the Honourable Robert Brown from the Shooters and Fishers Party, and farmers, to then be able to stand out in one of those paddocks to see it popping out of the ground and see it to be harvested. But we haven't just stopped there with the poppies. What we're seeing now is an investment in medicinal cannabis as another potential opportunity for New South Wales, where we are looking at the agronomics, and we've put money into trials and a facility somewhere in New South Wales to be able to come up with some more solutions for farmers to be able to maximise that opportunity. We went and changed the rules in relation to allowing hemp seed as food for the first time again here in New South Wales. Getting in and changing things that either are very easy to do from our point of view provides our producers with opportunities to capitalise on the things that they can see that can be another thing that they add to what they do. We're just seeing the first kingfish being harvested off Port Stephens in the first time that we've had a big aquaculture pen like that here in New South Wales. Not because it couldn't be, or shouldn't have been done, it was because it couldn't or was very hard to do to get the approvals to go through the process to allow that to occur here in New South Wales. And as a government, we didn't think it was our role to be in the business of commercially producing those kingfish, but we knew that it was a barrier to the private sector because of the way that the processes were set up and the types of approvals that were required. So the department went through the process, documented it along the way as to how to go through this process, got the licence, and then has gone into the private sector and said, who would like to exercise this licence here in New South Wales? And that's the sort of thing that we're seeing now in 2017 coming from government and our agencies like DPI. DPI is now in the top 1% of research institutions in the agriculture sector in the world. We have many partnerships, like our partnership with GRDC, that is looking at a record investment here in New South Wales, putting money into the types of research and trials and innovation that are going to set our farmers up to reach those targets that we've set ourselves going forward. And that's how we've been able to grow here in New South Wales over the last 12 months. And many of you, and when I've spoken at these luncheons before, I spoke about the fact that we set a target to increase our primary industries by 30% by 2020 here in New South Wales, and that was part of our industry action plan. We did it this year. We took primary industries and the value of primary industries this year in New South Wales past $15 billion, around $15.8 billion now, and we did it in 2017 when we were targeting 2020. And we've done that off the back of being flexible, using innovation, new technologies, working with the sectors. And I know that some of those targets have been met because of some favourable seasonal conditions and good timings and good management, but we're also challenging ourselves to continue to grow the sector. Because when the sector is strong, it means it's resilient for the next challenge that's around the corner. And that's what we've seen here in New South Wales. But we're not resting on that. 2018 is going to be a big year. We've set a very firm platform. You'll be hearing more from us about the targets that we're setting going forward. But we can only reach those targets again if we start to push the envelope and look at new ways of doing things. The role of technology, some of the work that we're doing in our research stations and looking at the role of technology and how it can be applied on farm. Collaboration with research institutes or CRCs, or in some cases the private sector, to look at new varieties and new ways of doing business. 2018 we'll have another go and another conversation around the right to farm issue, because I foreshadow there's some other areas that are coming in that space that we need to be stronger on. We've got some animal welfare challenges that are on the horizon as well, and we've got some conversations that involve other states around the production systems and making sure that we inform the consumers as to why we do certain things, and to continue to allow the consumer to have choice rather than the consumer dictating exactly what happens in every production system on farm. But you can only do that by taking them along with you on the journey and understanding why we have practices that we have. So 2017 has been a great year. We've ticked off a lot of things. You can have a go and have a look at some of those targets and numbers, and they're the sort of things that these speeches are normally full of, what we've done. But today I thought I just wanted to reflect on how that has been done and how it's not any different to what was done in the 1880s. It's about listening to the sector about the problems that they have, deciding what we can do about it and what we can change, changing the things that we can change, providing some of the solutions to those problems, utilising the resources and the amazing people that we have working in organisations like DPI and LLS, and then providing those solutions back to the private sector so they can get on and do what they do best. So that's what 2018 will bring as well. Hopefully more of what we're doing there, but also addressing some of those challenges that we see coming up against us, and protecting the enormous platform that we have now here in New South Wales. We have new biosecurity legislation and a greater awareness now that the role of good biosecurity plays not just for productive gains, but also for the social and environmental stakeholders that we have here in New South Wales. We've consolidated those 14 acts into one. We've got our new biodiversity regime here in New South Wales. We've switched on our commercial fishing changes that have been decades in the making. So that's a lot that we've done, more to do, and we can only do it with the support of everyone that's here. So can I just finalise my hopefully short address, probably a bit longer than what I normally would talk for, in saying thank you to everyone that's been involved in that part of the journey. There's been challenges throughout the year, there'll be more next year, but we certainly can get on and do the job once we know that we've got good, honest feedback from all in the sector. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope everyone has a safe Christmas. Rest up. 2018 is going to be a huge year for primary industries. But more importantly, thank you to our finalists of the Farmer of the Year for everything that you do. Today's a great opportunity for us to acknowledge the role that you've played, but also know that we're acknowledging you on behalf of all of the other producers right throughout New South Wales. It's farmers like this that means that when we come up with those tools or those solutions, we know that they're going to be taken up and maximised because of the types of production systems and the types of businesses that you're operating and the foresight that you have. So thank you to you on behalf of all of the farmers of New South Wales. Merry Christmas everyone, and have a good 2018. Thank you.